Hi everyone, how are you today? Today's Tuesday in Brisbane, 11:05 a.m. Okay, so we're here for another live. Okay, I hope you're all doing well. Okay, and I hope you're having a good day and all of that. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Fabi, okay, from Fabi English. I'm an English teacher and I help people get the score they need on the IELTS exam. All right, by helping them with their IELTS progress and also helping with the English, because I don't think you can achieve the score you need if you don't improve your English. Okay, and I'm an English teacher and I've been teaching English for a long time. My specialty is IELTS. Okay, I've worked at schools here in Brisbane, universities and all of that. Okay, and I've been helping a lot of people for a long time. Okay, and yeah, it's funny because I just thought about something now. Yeah, like at the beginning of every live I say how much I help people get the score they need. Okay, and I also say that I help people with their English, right? And just yesterday, as I was having a chat with a student, and he's been studying for the IELTS for a while now. You know, like he's been like, you know, taking slow. He sees me once a week, and he did the IELTS, got a good score, but now he needs a higher score. But he keeps seeing me, and now he's thinking about going to PT. Yeah. So, because he thinks IELTS a little bit difficult. Yeah, but honestly, yeah, I don't think there are difficult exams. I just think that maybe your English level is not enough. I think that's the most, that's something you have to think about. Okay, maybe I'll do a live comparing PTE and IELTS. Yeah, maybe that's the next thing I'm going to talk about. Maybe that's it. Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, so I don't know if you managed to watch the live yesterday. Okay, but yeah, this week we are talking about speaking, right? So I got a very good question from someone who was watching us last week, and I thought about, we focus so much on writing, let's do a little bit of speaking this week. Okay, so yesterday, okay, we talked about speaking and how to talk more during the speaking test of the IELTS exam. Okay, so a lot of people, they say that they don't talk enough. All right, so they maybe the examiner keeps looking at them, or they do a practice with someone and they're told that they're not speaking enough, okay, to get a good score. So yesterday I spoke to you about that and I gave you some tips and things that you can do, okay? And if you haven't watched it yet, you can head to YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, because it will be available there, all right? And today we're actually going to talk a little bit about the opposite. So yesterday we were focusing on people who don't talk enough. Today we're going to talk about people who talk a little bit too much, okay? But I can tell you, okay, guys, so we're trying to achieve a balance here, okay? So I can tell you that if you don't talk a lot, it's a problem. But if you talk too much, it is also a problem, okay? And today, I'm going to help people who talk too much. And trust me, there are a lot of you out there, okay? I think yesterday I mentioned, usually the writing, if I see someone's writing, I can tell if they're going to speak too much or too little during the speaking part of the IELTS exam, okay? Yeah. So yesterday I gave an example of a student that I have, and yeah, his writing, he writes a lot, but he misses the point. And his speaking is the same thing. I ask him a question, he talks, but doesn't really answer the question, okay? And that's what we're going to talk about today. All right, cool. So, to start, okay, one of the things that you might have problems with. Oh, and by the way, if you have any questions, okay, you can pop the questions on there. I'll probably get to the questions at the end. All right, but if you have any questions as I'm speaking, okay, if you have any questions, go ahead and you can ask now. Just pop it in the comments. All right, cool. So as I was saying, so when when you speak a little bit too much, okay, if you're the kind of person that talks a lot, one thing that happens to a lot of people that tend to talk a bit more, they talk fast. I'm one of them, okay? I tend to talk a bit fast. I'm trying to pace myself recently. But lower level students, they stare at me because I tend to talk a bit too fast. But some people, when they talk too fast, one thing that happens sometimes, because they're talking too fast, their pronunciation doesn't come out correctly. All right, so just pay attention to some of your friends, someone you know, even native speakers, okay? Sometimes people talk too fast and they can't pronounce the words properly. Maybe it's not a big problem if you are talking to friends, okay? But in the IELTS exam, that can be a bit of an issue, okay? So if you tend to, there's a beautiful butterfly outside. It keeps coming back here at my window. So yeah, so if you tend to talk fast, okay, one thing that might happen, you might not be pronouncing the words properly, and then you might lose points during the exam, okay? So one thing that you can think about, okay, maybe it's slowing down. If you are the kind of person that tends to talk a lot, okay, especially during the IELTS speaking test, try to slow down a little bit and focus more on your pronunciation. Because people who talk too much, they tend to talk a bit fast. And when you talk fast, sometimes you can pronounce the words properly. And the problem pronunciation sometimes, guys, is that maybe a pronunciation mistake might sound like a grammar mistake. For example, for some reason, people from some nationalities, they can't quite pronounce the S properly. Okay, so it's something that if you know, if someone told you, oh, you don't really pronounce the S, pay attention to that, okay? Because people might misunderstand you, number one, and during the IELTS exam, that might sound like a grammar mistake, okay? So if you say to book, so maybe you think you're pronouncing it, but you're not really, all right? So just pay attention to that, okay? So maybe a pronunciation mistake can be like perceived as an actual grammar mistake, okay? Or some people, even if you're thinking about the third person, we have to add the S, right? He go. If you don't pronounce the S, it sounds like a grammar mistake, okay? So if you tend to talk too much, pay attention to your pronunciation, okay? And another thing that some people, they have problems with if they tend to talk too much during the IELTS speaking test, okay? I think this is actually the main problem. People tend to, they go off topic, all right? So if you're doing the speaking test, okay, and you tend to talk too much and you had someone do the test with you and give you some feedback, that's probably what you heard back, okay? The fact that you are going off topic, okay? So that's one of the main things, all right, that people do, okay? So you start talk, and then you don't remember what you're talking about anymore, okay? So today I'm going to tell you a few things that you can do, okay, or things that you can think about, all right, that will help you with that, okay? And guys, if you have any questions, feel free to pop the questions in there, okay? And I'll probably get to that at the end, all right? Cool, right. So if you are the kind of person who tends to talk too much and people tell you that you're going off topic, one thing that you can do is actually, when you are asked the question, try to pay attention to the key words in the question. Okay, so let's say a common question, tell me about your hobbies, you know, like one question I asked a student yesterday, do you like flowers? Okay, so yeah, so, and again, maybe a person who tends to talk too much will talk about plants, we'll talk about flowers, we'll talk about a garden, but might not say whether they like it or not. Okay, and then you're not really answering the question, because remember, in the IELTS speaking test, okay, there is a part which says, yeah, right here, yeah, it says fluency and coherence, okay? So when the examiner is listening to you, the examiner is thinking about 4 things, and one of them is fluency and coherence, okay? So if you're not answering the question, you're gonna lose points for coherence, because I ask you, do you like flowers? And you talk about different things, but you don't say yes or no. Or you say yes, but you don't quite explain it, and you talk about something else, okay? So that can be a bit of a problem. All right, so my advice for you is, so let's think about this question again. Do you like flowers? So some of the keywords could be like and flowers, right? So focus on that. So keep thinking about that. Like flowers, and then explain a little bit more, okay? But if you think about part 3, is a little bit more challenging because the questions are quite long, right? So one of the questions I asked, actually I did the same speaking test with 2 students yesterday. One of the questions was about meetings. So I think the question was, what types of meetings people can go to? Something like that. Okay, so you say types of meetings, go to, okay. And some people, they talk about, so you might give a list of meetings, but you don't explain the type. Okay, and then you go on talking about meetings, but then you don't quite explain it, so that can be a problem too. All right, so again, focus on the keywords that you can see in the that you cannot see, that you can hear, okay, in the questions. Okay, so that's extremely helpful. All right, and one thing that I personally like to do, yeah, I don't know if you know, but I've done lots of exams, okay, because you know I'm originally from Brazil and I'm based in Brisbane, Australia. So I've done a few tests. So I've done the CPE test, I've done the IELTS test a long time ago, but I have, you know, and one thing that I always did in my speaking, and I was always getting amazing scores for my speaking, okay, one thing that I always did was actually to get, to have a little bit of a conclusion for my answer, especially in part 3, especially when the questions are a bit more abstract, okay? So I don't want to say it's a conclusion because actually it's not an essay, so you don't need a conclusion, but let's say like a final sentence. All right, oh, the butterfly again. All right, cool. So yeah, so just so think about closing what you're saying. All right, and I feel that when I'm closing what I'm saying, okay, I go back to the question. Okay, so yeah, so as an example, what types of meeting people usually go to? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so these are the types of meetings that I know of that people go to. You know what I mean? So just close it. And that kind of takes you back to the question and you kind of make sure you know you are still on the question, okay? And even maybe during your answer, referring back to the question might be helpful, just to make sure that you are not going off topic and you know exactly what you're talking about. All right, okay. So guys, if you have any questions, you can pop the questions in there, okay? Because speaking seems to be a bit of an issue for some people, okay? And also, if you have problems with part 2, that's one question I got last week. You can head to my YouTube channel, all right? And there's a full lesson there helping you to plan for speaking part 2 on the IELTS exam. All right, okay. Yes, so I think that's it. I think that's all I have to tell you guys today. Do you have any questions about the speaking part or anything actually? Okay, yeah. So as I told you before, yesterday we talked about how to speak more, okay? And you can head to the live, but basically my main advice would be to add examples. All right, that would be my main advice, add some examples. And today we're talking about talking too much, okay? And what I see from my experience, what I see the most is people going off topic, right? And I don't think you'll be able to get more than a 6 on the IELTS exam if you go off topic, especially in part 3 of the speaking exam, because so part 3 is the most difficult part, is the abstract one, and the questions are longer and you really have to think about the answers, right? And if you can perform well, you are likely to get a 6+. All right, so most of the people that I've been helping, they're getting 6+ if they do well in part 3. All right, okay. So guys, any questions? No? No, not really? No? Okay, so if you have any questions, if you feel like you have a question and you want to talk to me later, you can send me a message here, okay? Or you can also send me an email. My email is fabi@fabieNglish.com. Okay, and if you want to catch up and watch all the lives and get all the information, you can head to YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. There's lots of stuff there for you, okay, to have a look if you need any help with the IELTS exam and of course with your English. All right, no questions? People are a little bit shy? Nah. All right, cool. Okay, so I'm gonna head out now, but I'll be back tomorrow, okay, at 11 a.m. We'll be talking a bit about speaking tomorrow too, okay? So it's at 11 a.m. Brisbane time, okay? So I don't know where you are at, but yeah. So I'm online here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Brisbane time, okay? So I'm gonna go now and I'll see you next time. Bye.